Hey basketball players, if you're a bit taller, this is definitely a video for you. Today, we are looking at Kevin Durant's basketball shooting form. Let's get down and let's check out how he shoots the ball. Okay, so here we have Kevin Durant over on the left side of the screen. Now from here, what we have is just basically a practice shoot around, which is fantastic because now we get to see some close-ups of how Kevin Durant shoots the ball. Now, from here, he dribbles into his shot, and this is something that I always teach a lot of my players to do, and that is always try to hop into your shot, also try to hop into your crossovers as well. Something that we see with Kevin Durant is he has his shoulders over his knees, over his toes, in pretty well the straight line. And that's fantastic. He then brings up the ball from in the middle of his body. This isn't out towards the left or right side. And then he goes up the middle of his body into his set point. Now, this is not the only way he brings the ball up. He brings the ball up the middle of his body, but he also does, in some cases, bring it up the right side as well. And I'm going to be showing that to you right now. So here we have Kevin Durant from a side angle. He goes up for a shot fake, and then he comes around, takes a dribble, and takes a step back, and he brings it up from his left side and up, as we can see here. So what this is basically telling us, and what I've been telling a lot of my players, is you need to be able to not just bring up the ball in your regular shooting form, but in awkward angles to how you shoot also, because you never know when that's going to happen in game. You also need to know how to bring the ball up on your left side as well, as we see here with Kevin Durant. Now, if you do bring the ball up on your left side, don't shoot like Alonzo Ball with your elbow and wrist way out onto the left side angle. Of course, Alonzo Ball, I will admit, has changed his form, and I'm going to be breaking that down soon. But if you do swipe the ball up on your left side, make sure that your elbow is underneath the wrist, because that's going to allow you to have potentially a better shot than you would if your arm was out like Lonzo. So now going back to Kevin Durant's shooting form, we're going to go back to the feet. His right foot is in front of his left, which is good. That's going to give him a more accurate shot, but also a more powerful shot. We also see that both of his feet are roughly, and this happens with every single one of his shots, out towards the left side. Same as his knees. His left knee is actually more straighter towards the rim than his right. Generally, you want to have those bending in the same direction all the time, so either towards the left, straight, or out towards the right. Generally not out towards the right if you're right-handed, but it was worth a say. His right hand, or right side of his hip, is a little bit back from his left, or left is a little bit back from his right, and same as his shoulders. Now, this is why when he shoots, his right wrist is just maybe, I'm going to say maybe an inch off from his elbow, like we see here, because his angle is a bit off, with his hips and left shoulder being farther back. By now, having this elbow slightly out towards his right side, that may be able to now stabilize that shot. Not always the case, but it can. Now, from here, his set point, as we can see, is right in the middle of his head. So when he goes up for a shot, what we have is his shooting wrist is a little bit out from his elbow when it comes towards the angle from the net. However, his elbow is still in line with his shoulder when it comes to the aim towards the net. Next, for his set point, it's going to be right roughly in the middle of his forehead. He's able to see through this hole that we have here, and we can see from a little bit of this angle that his fingers are slightly spread out. Now, we don't have a back angle to him, but we can say that he does have his fingers spread right out, and we also do have a little bit of air between the palm and the ball, but not much. I wouldn't call it a finger's worth, but there is a little bit there. Now, that's something that a lot of players do make a mistake when they start having larger hands, like Kevin Durant. Shaq is another example who has just massive air underneath the ball, between his palm and the ball. You don't generally, if you've got massive hands, don't want to have all that much air in between the ball and the palm. But again, you still want to have some because the fingertips do control the basketball better. Now, when it comes to his left arm, his off arm, we do see that it's way out towards the left, and his left hand is not on the side of the ball, but instead almost behind the ball. When he goes up for a shot, we do see that his hand does release from the ball, but his thumb does slightly push the ball as well. And we can see that from this angle right here, that his left wrist or left thumb slightly pushes the ball up until this point here, which is very similar to my shot with my offhand, but he drops it off so it does not affect the basketball. We also see that the ball goes off his middle finger last, and then he flicks his wrist, what looks to be at first towards the left side of his body, and then it goes straight towards the basket. Now, the thing with his shot is he's got a very good shot. So should we even mention about correcting some of the things that he does? Personally, no. I personally don't think that he needs to change his shot at all, considering that it's already very good, especially for his height. And that goes with anybody. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If you're shooting over 40%, generally that's pretty good, but there's always some small things that you could always improve on. Stuff like breathing techniques when you're shooting and things like that. I hope that this video has helped you become a better shooter in basketball. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.